So Arcane is such a interesting series. I was not familiar with the source material prior, but now I definitely want to check it out. But I mean, what about this show really drew you to it?
It was the character. I knew League of Legends. I feel like everybody knows it. I never played personally, but I didn't really care so much about that. And I know there's probably fans around the world like who that is, deaf to their ears. But I didn't. And I think that's a testimony to the show itself, that the show is that good and the character is that well written and that interesting that even without all of that stuff, I wanted to be a part of it. We very rarely get to see these interesting, violent female villains, and it's not something I necessarily, aspire to be, but it's fun, and it very rarely happens. The other person that people often draw contrast between is Harlequin. I mean, other than Harlequin, really, we don't have all that many who are sort of this crazy, a new level of craziness. So yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and I've never done anything like that before.
So then once you did find yourself interested in the show and the character, did you have any interest to actually dive into the game as research for it?
I did, but I suck at all video games, and I'm very competitive. And if I'm not good at something, I don't want to do it. So, because I'm a child, apparently. I do want to play. I will play. I just haven't really been in one place long enough to like get the whole setup. But if anybody, hit me up. If anyone wants to play, don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
So then what would you say were some of the biggest creative challenges sort of finding the heart of this character and bringing her to life?
Quite a few. So this was my first ever voiceover audition and my first ever voiceover job. So I was super nervous and intimidated and just like way out of my depth coming into the room. I had no idea what I was doing and made sure everybody knew that. And then I had a little bit of trouble at first, like letting go and learning how to do it, because it's a completely different medium. And like I came at it doing quite naturalistic performances, and we sat and talked about it. And then they said, go for like 150. And I was like, you sure? Because my 150 is like a lot. And they were like, no, do it. And they did it. And they were all like, that's the one. And somehow, I got the part and we ended up here. And it's funny. It's like these own sort of internal blocks you have. But it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's embarrassing. It's like that natural human instinct, which like some actors don't have that. I do. I find everything very embarrassing all the time. But once you sort of learn to let go and like really lean into the just batshit craziness of who she is, it's so fun and so liberating and just freeing, especially coming off the back of some of the other like quite constricted parts I've been playing lately. Yeah, it was fun.
So with a character like this, oftentimes in live action, it does allow room to improv, but obviously with animation, it can be kind of harder to do so. Were you allotted that opportunity at all with this character?
I was. I mean, I struggle with improv when I'm not in my natural accent, just because sometimes I say things like British terms in American accents and people look at me like I'm crazy. So I just generally avoid it. But there were a few times where I have been able to do that. I mean, the animation is finished, completed at various different stages, for the different episodes. So sometimes there'll be like fully fledged, finished animated episodes in which you're matching that. And other times they just have sketches or very rough early stage animatics. And what they would do is put a camera to record my facial expressions. So on certain lines or, just little quirks and things, they could actually copy that and put it onto her, which did allow me, some freedom to play around, especially like when we really found her groove and like, just, I don't know, it really felt like a collaboration. Like I didn't want her to be like tough and like strong and mean all the time. Like that just isn't who she is. Like she's childish. She's stuck in the age of 9, which is when she was traumatized, and she's a scientist and she's creative and she has a few screws missing, obviously. His voices has some like mental health things, but she like is very much up and down and up and down. So like in between the lines, I would add these like noises, which probably wouldn't have made any sense if you just heard them. But because they could also see me, they would understand that that noise is a laugh or like a grunt or a sniff, something like whatever it is. And they used a few of them. I watched it last night, which is it's cool to see because you never know, what they're gonna chop and change. And yeah.
So then what was it like since you did say this is your first voiceover job? I mean, what was it like getting to work alongside those various forms of animation with the script and then, like with the early concepts, having to both visualize it in your mind as well as with these early drawings? What was that like for you as a performer, sort of going through all of that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't really been asked this or spoken about it, but it was hard actually, and it's just good. I've been acting for like 15 years, and I kind of am getting a little like, I don't know, restless, I think is the word. I really want to branch out, and that's partly why I took this character. And then to suddenly be thrown in like the deepest of the deep ends in something new that you've never done before, that you're a beginner at, is like, it was fun. And like, it had its challenges, but I like to think that I really embraced those, just being like, oh, something new that I'm not, used to doing. Cool. There were like, and again, this is like 2-3 years ago now, so I have to try and remember, but there's like one incident in particular where like, I didn't really understand the language that they were using because, they have the slang, the animation slang. And I wouldn't ask questions because I was so sort of proud and like trying to pretend like I had my shit together. I wish I could remember what it was. But anyway, it led to this really funny mix up where they like wanted something and I didn't want to tell them I didn't know what that meant, even though they all knew that I didn't know. Anyway, I ended up just like screwing up the whole thing, and it was funny. And after that, we all got a little closer. But yeah, it is weird. There's like having to learn how to do something again from the beginning, which is like a normal thing anyway, I'm rambling.
No, that was a great answer. That was perfect. So given that you mentioned this was done a few years ago, did you get the opportunity to work alongside some of your co-stars in the voice booth, or was this mostly just you with the directors?
It was, I never worked with another actor in the booth. And I still haven't. I mean, I've only done 2 projects, but I've never worked with someone in there. I wonder how it would be. I'm interested to see how that would go. But no, I mean, we were all from different parts of the world. It's one of the things I love the most about the show is like the variety of accents that we have. So we never really managed to be in the same place. And then obviously COVID happened. So that's that.
That's that, unfortunately. And that's also that for our time, I guess. But I had a great time chatting, and I can't wait to spread the word about this show. So thank you, Ella, so much for taking the time to chat. I appreciate it.